CentaurWorld is bad now, fam. I mean, just look at this. A half-point difference. Cinema is truly dead. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with exaggeration, I don't think CentaurWorld Season 2 is bad. In fact, I kinda like it. Overall, it doesn't have the same amount of polish as the last season, and it definitely felt like story was stretched thin in places. At the end of the day, it's still the same cotton candy fun show about seeing animals surrounded by nightmare fuel and suicide that it's always been. If you like the first season, you'll like the second, especially the finale. Now, if you want to go into this show completely blind, that's your ringing endorsement by me, Sarcastic Chorus, that guy who keeps getting things wrong. I'll be keeping this video spoiler free till I don't, but if it happened in season 1, it's fair game. Don't bitch at me that you haven't watched the greatness that is Zulius. So to understand my thoughts on season 2, we gotta talk about the first one. Because season 1 is honestly one of the weirdest shows I've seen all year, as I, like most people, kinda wrote it off as a dumb kids show till we watched it and immediately wanted to send the Netflix marketing team an apology because
in CentaurWorld is the place where all your new best friends are, girl.
Now and die, little ones. Rush now.
yeah, I wouldn't know how to sell this show either. This isn't a Q4 situation where the trailer completely fucked the show. CentaurWorld is filled with happy tree friends looking characters where people sing about their feelings at the drop of a hat. But it also contains elements that you wouldn't expect in a kid's show. It explores trauma, the ravages of war, suicide, and self-image. It's honestly a miracle that this show isn't rated 10+. Because shit can and will happen here, which I'm all about. I love me a show that can combine different elements without making it feel like a bait and switch. Sure, it's easy to make something look cute and wholesome while actually being fucked up, but something else entirely to make something cute and wholesome that just happens to be fucked up. This show wasn't afraid of talking about death or intense subject matter, but it did it without compromising either factor, so yes, it was able to have its cake and drink vodka. The story had initially a fun episode of the week vibe, with each episode introducing new characters and races that you could have a fun time exploring, while the characters we actually cared about dealt with their personal issues. It struck a balance between having a new adventure while still building the overall story, plus tying it all together with a fun soundtrack. This show was good, with pretty much no major flaws that didn't come to personal taste. Like, I personally just like the songs. Never loved them, it's got bops but no bangers. And I think that's totally okay. Just means I enjoy what I heard, but I won't remember it a month later. With there only being like 3 songs I actually really like, but again, that's personal taste. CentaurWorld was able to take a cast of over-the-top characters and make me love almost all of them.
A heart.
Oh, my sweet boy.
Yeah, fuck the giraffe. Everyone else though was cool, and I was really looking forward to seeing them again this new season. Then I watched it, and while it's thoroughly enjoyable, the cracks slowly creeped in. Nothing broke, but it was clunky in places. And the thing that got hit the most this season, sadly, was the music. There was a total of 39 songs in the first season, while the second only got 32, which makes sense. There's only 8 episodes in this season compared to the previous 10, but if you subtract the songs in the hour-long finale, there's actually only 18 in the first 6 episodes, with a large percentage of them being reprises of songs from the first season. The new songs are still good, but when you're listening to new songs that are just okay, and then the other songs are songs that you've heard before, those fine songs really just fall flat. Because like, in the first season, songs were characters. We got to hear Horse sing about being strong and independent, reveling in war, and how that clashed with Walming's take the safe route approach, building to a duet that showed off their conflicting personalities. Here, we kinda get a song about them hating on their ex's new crush. Like, it's still fine, they're still fun, but gun to my head, ask me what I really think. This kinda feels like the team behind CentaurWorld had to cram for this second season. Like, they didn't have the same amount of time to bang out a brand new soundtrack, so songs come less often, feel shorter, and feel less impactful to the overall plot. Like, Last season, we got a full song about this fish guy and his life, and he is just like a one-off character. Season 2, a super important character like the General gets like 40 seconds, and that's it. And the whole thing feels like it's just a build-up to a much larger song than one in its own right. And that kind of just hits a lot of the music. A lot of it feels shorter and less impactful. I liked season 1 songs, but they didn't stick with me. Season 2, I honestly forgot quite a bit of the new ones. Like, did the Birds have a song in episode 2? They had 3? Like, you could be lying, but I would not be able to correct you. And not helping this fact is that the first 4 episodes really drag. The opening is all about Horse and the Herd gathering allies to fight the gooey elk monster, only for the characters they met before to rightly point out how much they screwed them, so they got a fat no. So instead, the herd has to go meet new types of centaurs, but these new adventures kinda just spin their wheels. Because it really is go to a new location, convince them to follow. And we don't get a lot of that same personal connections and growth we saw in the last one. They feel almost like side quests. The characters we actually care about don't feel like they're personally invested in their own story. And that lack of personal drama just leaves those episodes to kind of underwhelm. Horse kind of became her best self in the last season, and her relationship with the other characters isn't challenged or expanded upon in any meaningful way. So I didn't really get into the story till around episode 5. They're still enjoyable, but it's running more on wacky hijinks and little else. The tinge of nightmare fuel that really wrapped me into those first couple episodes isn't here. There isn't that intrigue to get me interested, like, okay, how's this gonna work? Where's that next little bit to explain how this is all connected to the human world, how this world is being affected by whatever the fuck happened before? Instead, it's just hijinks. So your mileage may vary here, you may love this, and I liked it too. I love me some PG drunk grandma, and the obnoxious bird fans are sure to offend someone who takes it too personally. But for me, I just wasn't hooked. It didn't hit me. Everything after that's gravy. The songs get fun again, Comfortable Doug is used just the right amount, and the show stopped pretending to do anything with Glendale and Chet, committing them to just being side characters.
Daddleton. Daddleton.
Yeah, Durpleton gets a lot more to do this season. He's a dad now. He's not as bad as he was in the last season, but he's still the worst member of the group. But that's a me problem, so fuck me, I guess. My anti-giraffe status aside, I really can't undersell how good the last half of the show is. We see the formula get switched up with a Rider episode, the music gets better, we dive into each character's backstory, and it all builds to a finale that's over an hour long, that has no right being as good as it is, combining the past and present with the full animation budget kicking in. I've got some issues with the finale, but that's spoiler talk. If you allow me to step outside my overcritical mindset for a minute, let me just say, I really like this show. I really enjoyed this season. And the fact that this season has cracks in comparison to the rock-solid first one just makes it too easy to compare and see what does and doesn't work. But don't think for a moment I'm not recommending that you watch this. CentaurWorld is such a hard sell on face value, as it does look like a goofy kids show, but there's more to it than that, and I want everyone to go watch it. It's got good music, beautiful visuals combining two entirely different art styles that still look natural when paired together, and characters that honestly don't have any right to be as fun as they are. Season 2's main flaw is that it only maintains what you liked about the first one, causing the things that you liked to get stretched thin and any problem that you have becoming more noticeable as a result. The script isn't as tight as it was in the first season. The music might be slightly lower than the first, but once you're watching it and it really gets going, you get wrapped into it. It gets fun, the questions start coming again, and it really just builds to this final episode where everything clicks and you think, oh my god, this was worth it. Except one thing. Leave if you don't want that spoiler. Okay, here's a few things. Horse's whole dilemma this season, if you can call that, is a rehash of season 1. She's anxious that she thinks that Ryder has a new horse, and that horse is fucking amazing, so yeah, go for it. But she has so much less to do this season. She has so many less worries to have. First season, she was trying to get back to Ryder. She was building a relationship with Womwing. She was learning to accept this herd. She was learning to accept herself as she was getting tunified. Here, It's just her getting insecure again. Yeah, it doesn't really land. I feel like if they decide, okay, Horse is already at her perfect form, she's kind of become her best self, you then have to make her arc to be her relationship to other people, adjust how she treats Chet or Wamawink or Zulius, or how they treat her. Like Wamawink has nothing to do this season. The old lady, who is super important to the plot, is basically written out of it till the finale, which blew my mind. And the big thing, the thing that killed me, is that the general, who is the other half of the Nowhere King, this massive giant twist, this thing that is so integral to the backstory of this world, doesn't really land. Because let's face it, the man has at max 3 scenes before the reveal where he's kind of just a guy. He's responsible leader man, but you don't have any real attachment to him. Like, he's funny, he gives Ryder some shit. But Ryder, in that finale, is like, oh my god, he is my hero, he is amazing, he is this messiah who leads us and we need to trust him because he is so great. But we, the audience, never see that relationship develop. So they have to then give him a 45-second song to show off how heroic he is before they make him a twist villain. But here's the thing, small, I know, but needs to be said, we don't give a shit about who he was before the reveal, so why should I care about it afterwards? The finale, like honestly, is shocking in how well it was able to integrate the origin for the Nowhere King. Because this thing is an hour long, and we have a lot of backstory to cover. So the fact they were able to pull it off and not make it feel like it's a giant wiki dump is impressive, and I give massive props to that. And if the general had been more of his own character, if he had more of a bond with Ryder, I can see this working without a hitch. I would have no problem with the finale. The fact that we know next to nothing about him means that the finale feels like it's racing to make you care about this big twist, because the actual product lacks that build-up. The best analogy I can give for this is, imagine if in an MCU film, they stop in the 3rd act to make you watch an abridged version of one of their shows to explain why this is so tragic, why this should give you the feels, why you should care about this one character, but it's not there. You can feel them rushing, you can feel them trying to make this work when it doesn't. I like this idea in theory. The only way to make this actually work is to give Ryder way more screen time. Like, they would need a couple episodes together for us to really care about the Sky, to make the impact of this twist, this reveal of what a monster he really is. But sadly, that character work is not there. Like, again, I love the backstory. I enjoy how it's told out of order, so I never fully could guess what was going on and what happened. It's very natural, beautiful even. But while it does a lot to make us care about the Nowhere King, it fails to do anything for this other guy. If the general was just some other dude, I think they could have kept this story almost entirely intact. The only thing that they would need to change is that the Nowhere King isn't the product of overexposure to magic radiation, but is instead the result of the elk half forcing the human side to fuse again with something getting screwed up in the process, creating the abomination he is today. Meaning that the witch can even fix him so they can keep the scene where she kills his ass. I don't think that would be better than what we got, but the fact that it isn't fully explored really just sinks this one element for me. Like, it really bugs me, especially when the first 4 episodes just drag. Like, this isn't Young Justice season 4 bad, but it just fails for me. But it is the one element of this show where I'm like, the fuck happened here? And of the other things, all the backstories are good. Gerbleton's was rightfully tragic. Chet was, yeah, that fits. And Zulius having Batman's origin story and they never show it, that was good. They wimped out of not killing Ryder, but at least they were able to go through with killing the elk guy. I can forgive one fake out death, do 2 though, and you're dead to me forever. Well, I think that's actually about it for me. I was supposed to be on break to recover from burnout, but then CentaurWorld came out. So here I am. Loved the show in general. The 2nd season was a small, very small step down, with the finale having just one thing that really fucking irked me, but it's still absolutely worth the watch. Check it out if you haven't already. Like, share, and validate my existence with comments, or don't. The algorithm doesn't seem to care at this point, so why should I? Thank you all for watching. Please have a good one, and peace out.